Go ahead, Vaxer.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, looks like we are here. We are ready to bring you some Dragon Quest runs. So I am Vaxherd. I'm going to be commentating the Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 runs that will be coming up. The so-called Roto Relay or Erdrick Relay. It's very popular in Japan, as are all of these games. But I'll be commentating the 3 of them for you. They're going to be running a sort of relay. Yeah, it's not a race, but a relay fashion. So we're going to go through 1 and then immediately on to 2 and immediately on to 3. With just breaks for the ending cutscenes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that style as we go through. But since we've kept you all waiting long enough, and it is wonderful title music to be listening to, but I'm sure we all want to see the actual run, why don't we get started? So, Yanai-san, 準備よろしければ、カウントダウンします。
はい、大丈夫です。
So I will go ahead and count down for Yanai-san, our first runner in Japanese. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, auto. So let us get going with this run, and timer start. I hope starting timer is starting. Excellent. So we are on our way into Dragon Quest. This is the any percent password run, and specific password that Yanai-san is going to be entering. It's kind of an homage to the series creator. It's the names of Yuji Horii, the creator, and Enix, which was the company that made these. Of course, now part of Square Enix, and the name Dragon Quest, the game itself. And this is not like a specially encoded password in the game or anything. It's like those of you familiar with the NES Metroid may know the Justin Bailey password. It's the same sort of thing. It's not encoded in the game. It's just luck that this happens to work. So this password gives us a powerful but not super powerful hero. The name is kind of a little bit garbled Japanese, but the Japanese runners typically call him Otte. So our friend Otte here is going to be running on a fairly short quest. So this is not quite a New Game Plus run. It's sort of like New Game Plus minus. In that you do get a fairly powerful character. He's level 25 of 30 possible. For comparison, a typical Dragon Quest run speed run beats the final boss at level 18 or 19. So we are already far above that. However, it does not start with the best possible equipment. In fact, our equipment is fairly bad, and so we're actually taking our first trip down here to the town of Hawksness. I think some later versions of the game also called it Dora after the original Japanese name, and the localization is something that I want to get into, and we have a bit more of a moment to talk about. But this particular run is fairly quickly paced, so we're gonna try and keep up with that. Because we start out with only the broadsword and leather armor. Leather armor is not going to be good for survival against the Dragon Lord, and so we're stopping down here to pick up Erdrick's armor, which, as runners or players of the game may know, is hidden way back in the corner behind an Axe Knight. And so we're going to, if these Star Wyverns would stay out of our way, we will go ahead and pick that up. But there we go. This just will not let us get to that armor. But we're alright, because again, as I mentioned, Otte is level 25 and does have very good survivability for basically anything except the final dungeon. So this should hopefully go pretty quickly. See the classic Dragon Quest battle scene here. This is one of my own cherished childhood memories. Playing through this game, playing through these one-on-one battles. Command: thy hit points have decreased by 32. Thou art dead. Cherished memories. But anyway, we've got the armor. We're now back on our way to down to Sharlog. So what this password gave us, I mentioned the level 25 and the broadsword leather armor. We've now replaced the leather armor with Erdrick's armor. Gives us most, but not all of our spells. Actually, that looks like it does give us all of the spells. So we have the spells that we need to go on, and we also have the rainbow drop. So essentially the entire sequence of the game is finding the items to get you that one key item, the rainbow drop, to create the bridge to Sharlock Island. You'll notice by the Yanai-san, okay, just checking to see if the runner had anything for us, but you'll notice that Yanai-san is not using the torch or the radiant spell here because he knows his way through this cave just fine. It's probably a little bit more confusing for the viewers because, as you're probably noticing, in Dragon Quest 1, words are hard today. The character does not turn when he moves. He's always facing down, even though Yanai's moving over to the left. That was added in the first. In the Dragon Warrior 1, the English release of this game, and then in Dragon Quest 2 and later, but this being such an early game, and probably when they built it, they didn't even know if it was going to sell very well, and so they didn't feel like they could afford to spend any extra time doing things like sideways-facing characters, or things of that nature. It's a very minimalistic game, and nonetheless took Japan by storm when it was first released. And so, as I've been talking about that, we are already all the way up to Sharlock Castle. We didn't get encounters most of the way around. We have been getting them here on Sharlock Island because Repel will no longer keep those strong enemies away. But it did let us avoid most overworld encounters because, again, a very strong hero here. So we're now in the final dungeon, going to make our way through this. The runner actually has two options. So those of you familiar with this game may know the game's most powerful weapon, Erdrick's sword, is hidden within this dungeon, and obviously that will give us much greater strength, much more survivability compared to the broadsword that we have now. However, it does take an extra minute to pick up because you have to go down and then back up and then back down again. It's a bit of a pain. The runner essentially has a choice. Do you want to spend that minute for a more guaranteed run? Still not guaranteed. The Dragon Lord can be very messy. Or do you want to risk it with the broadsword? And I think Yanai-san said that he is going to risk it. He is going to try to get you guys as fast a run as possible. And you can see we are using a torch here because we do want to make sure it's not like the swamp cave where you basically just go straight down to the bottom. This does require a more complex movement, and just to make sure that his movement's on point, going to put up a little bit of light. Not a huge amount. We don't want to use MP for the Radiant spell. We want to save all of our MP for Healmores in the final encounter. But we are still able to run away from enemies sometimes. Sometimes they will let us get away. Sometimes they want to play with us a little bit more. But we'll continue making our way down. So this is, I believe, the third floor. This is the only game that has a stairs command. This is one of the things that they realized by the second game. Actually, we can probably do away with that. We can probably make stairs automatic. But, again, this is the one of, if not the very first Japanese role-playing game. And so they were still working things out, trying to figure out, okay, how do we want to set this up? How much control do we want to give the player? How much do we want to make them do? They ended up with this, and a game that has lasted over 30 years, and still people enjoy it to this day. Making our way down these the wizards getting in our way, but level 25, these are not going to be particularly dangerous, and it's just a question of... I should mention also, by the way, not only are they not dangerous because we are strong, but the Erdrick's armor that we picked up in the Hawksness has a property by which you gain 1 HP for every step you take. And so between not taking a lot of damage from enemies and getting that constant regeneration as you walk, it is not, especially at this level 25, not a dangerous walk at all. It is just making sure that you have your resources. And if you do get 3 red dragons in a row, maybe you have to spend an herb or a heal more, but most of the time you'll be fine. Should be just another couple of floors. I believe this is the 5th floor down. This was a lot of fun. I remember walking as my first casual play as a child, walking through this, trying to figure out where I'm going. Remembering I got to keep my radiant up because it's going to keep disappearing, and I'm not going to know where I am anymore. But here we are, last rightward walk, and we are now on the final floor of the Dragon Lord's castle. Yes, the good old days before HP inflation, indeed. When a single hit point actually meant something. But yeah, nice clean walk here through the bottom floor of Dragon Lord's castle. And of course, I've caster cursed it, and we're going to get an encounter every step of the way. But yeah, there we go. Yep. This happens, It was a nice clean walk. It was mostly a nice clean walk, but yeah, here we are. So we are up to, we are right up to the Dragon Lord, and we got away, and looks like we're just going to go straight in. It's gonna, yep, not gonna. I think his max HP is 153, so a little bit down, but remember the Dragon Lord does not do a huge amount of damage. So we can still manage that, and the issue is, as I mentioned before, that Yanai-san only has the broadsword. The broadsword does not do a lot of damage, so it's going to take a lot of turns to get through this fight. So took down the first phase very nicely, but now we are into the actual Dragon Lord. And you see 8 points of damage out of, I believe, 130. And that fire does a whole lot, so he's going to be healing up really quickly. The one nice thing about Dragon Quest I's battles is, since they're all one-on-one, you always know when your turn is next. You can see Yanai-san actually has a little boss HP calculator up in the bottom right of your screen. You can see how much the Dragon Lord has left, and it's only going to go down by a little bit every turn, and it's got to work through that before he runs out of NP. So one cast of Heal More costs 8 MP. So he's got 109 down to 100 10 MP. Maybe they changed that for the English release, but it is in fact 10 MP per cast. So he's got 9 casts of Heal More left, now 8. And he's got to work through that remaining 93 HP. Was it 10 on 10 NES? Okay, I must have just been misremembering. I'm probably remembering when I learned the Super Famicom rules. But yeah, okay, so it is 10, 8 in randomizer. Yep, randomizer fixed a lot of stuff to match the more recent specs. But yes, so 7 heal mores left. And we have to get through. Bosses, actually, this is looking pretty good. Boss is about halfway down, and I shouldn't say that because we know I'm just going to cast her curse it again. But we still got 6 heals left. Going to have to use 1 more here. It all depends, really, what ratio of attacks to Fire Breaths we get, because Fire Breath always does a very large amount of damage. I believe it's 42 to 48, in the 40s, even numbers only, because of a quirk of how the calculation works. Attacks with a level 25 hero and Erdrick's armor deal much less damage, so the more attacks we get, the more hits that we can get in on the boss. And so we see only 33 HP left. We are down to 3 heals. It's gonna be looks like it's gonna be a little tight, but I think Yanai-san is a little ahead of the curve here. This game did have critical hits, but not on the Dragon Lord. So Dragon Quest I and Dragon Quest II final bosses do not allow you to critical hit. It is I think it's probably a side effect of it being a they wanted to use different battle effects, and they couldn't add the critical code for those special battle effects. Or maybe they just decided we're not going to let you crit the bosses. But we're down to 7 to get on this hit. And it is perfect and exact kill with even 1 heal more left. So very nicely done to Yanai-san.
ちょうど。
ちょうどよかった。Yeah. So now, as with many JRPGs, the Japanese RTA community likes to play all the way out to the end. So we are going to go ahead and talk to the king here, and we are going to let the ending sequence play out before we go on to the next one in the series. But that was Dragon Quest I Any Percent Password. So as you've seen, it's a very quick run. So, yep, you regained peace to the world, but you decided to start on a new journey. We can see here, by the way, may God always be with you. One of the things, obviously, since this was the Japanese release, we did not get any of the censorship that we saw in the US. I'll go into that a little bit more as I talk about the localization later on. But here we have the credits, our classic favorites, Hori-san. Akira Toriyama unfortunately passed away recently. The music composer Sugiyama-san also no longer with us, so only one of those three. But Hori-san, I understand, is still involved with the series, still working with them, keeping all of it going. But yeah, big thanks to Yanai-san. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
And yeah, that was nice quick run, nice fun, just a fun little run you can do with this game. And we will be going on to Dragon Quest II in just a moment. Yukinobu-san. If you've ever wandered into Hawksness and found a reference to a Yukinofu, I don't know how they translated that, actually, now that I think about it, but there is that director Yukinobu actually did get a reference in the game, so that's kind of pretty cool. But there is the